Very good afternoon and a warm welcome to all from AsiaHRM. I think, am I clear to everyone?
Yes, it's clear to me.
All right, great.
Thank you.
Okay. AsiaHRM is the largest network of HR professionals from Asian continent in which professionals from many Asian countries share their perceived knowledge, exchange ideas, communicates in peer, and participates in various online sessions on different relevant topics. We share to care and care to share. AsiaHRM arranges various training programs, monthly knowledge sharing session, topical surveys, online HR certification programs, HR book clubs, HR mastermind sessions, and other HR events and conferences. AsiaHRM values passion, excellence, and nurture knowledge sharing. Our vision is to be the most reliable leading voice for HR community in Asia and make the HR community a better place to grow through common vision. Myself, Jack Abdullah, country lead AsiaHRM Bangladesh and one of the core committee members of AsiaHRM, very delighted to arrange another OKR session once again as a conjuncture session in January, in which we experienced a very successful one. In January, the OKR session was jointly hosted by AsiaHRM and HRFC, which was focused on framework, specifics, and implementation stories. The consultants shared their view on it, and from which we all augmented our journey with OKR and its further and fruitful deliberation. Today's OKR session shall be about implementation and strategies involved in corporate HR perspective. And to talk about this, I'm pleased to introduce two of our guest speakers who are expert in their respective field and have served as a skilled HR professional in all core areas of HR for long. They have actively involved in OKR strategies and implementation process. It is my pleasure to introduce Ms. Christina Lee as one of the speakers panel today. Christina has been in the HR practice field for more than 18 years, has served in different large groups of companies as top HR head in Greater China and Hong Kong area, and still doing the same at best. She is the founder of Heart to Heart Life Counseling and Education Services, which was established in 2010. And Christina is a professional grief and bereavement counselor, works with mental health, and also good at handling emotional and mood disorders. Christina believes psychological therapies are one of the most important approaches to help and empower the bereaved to move on their life journey positively and more effectively. Thank you very much, Christina, for such wonderful and inspirational principles of yours. Now, I'm very happy to introduce Mr. Mahendran Ganeshan, we call the Max. Mr. Mahendran has been working in HR practice field for more than 20 years, dealing with industrial relations, training and development, recruitment, talent acquisition, talent management, compensation and benefits, employee relations, HRIS, succession planning, and business development. He has also served in different large group of companies and 8.5 years as a regional head in an international bank in Malaysia region. Mahendran has had his master's degree from University of London session in AsiaHRM and the online certification program. Thank you, Max, for your kind presence. Let me give you a brief idea about the rundown of today's session. We will have our speaker's time that could around like 10 to 12 minutes, and altogether that we have 24 minutes. The format is flexible. And also, after the speakers complete their session, then we'll have the discussion and the question and answer session from participants and speakers as well. It will be goes around for around 20 to 25 minutes. And our last note will be for thanks and closing. So altogether, we'll have to complete the session within 1 hour, and it could be have 15 to 30 minutes buffer time. And to all participants, if you have any relevant questions, I will take all the questions after our speakers have finished their session. In the meantime, please write down your questions in the chat box provided in the Zoom, and we'll take the questions from there and for further furnishing. The session is recording, and I guess the telecasting live in AsiaHRM Facebook page. I'm sure Foster or Rita.
Yes, it is.
So without further delay, on implementation, start our discussion on implementation of OKR in corporate HR perspective. Christina, stage is yours.
So thank you, Jacka, for the introduction. Okay, so hello, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Christina. So I'm so glad to have the opportunity to share my humble experience here. And not only OKR, I think the overall employee experience I would like to stress on. So I got 10 to 20 minutes to start with. So apart from Jacka's introduction, this is me, a little bit focused on more HR side. I'm HR management people. I have a substantial many years of practice in HR, but quite various. Like it covers people strategies and employer branding, which I like most. Recently, I do much more on engagement and wellness, as well as D&I, diversity and inclusion, which is quite new concept in Hong Kong, but I'm quite keen to move it. Apart from that, from industry exposures, I also got a wide range of different practice in different industries. Like you see the Mercedes-Benz, the aeroplane, the aviations, the banking, the Bank of China, as well as some other bigger corporation like PCCW, Jardine, Matheson, cable TV. Like what I have spent more time in catering and fast food recently, and I'm currently in the healthcare industry. So maybe next time I can tell more about healthcare. So apart from in-house HR, I also came out to do HR consulting and coaching since last year. So I just serve some SME company like emerging restaurant groups, some pizza and pasta restaurants, and CPA firms. That is professional firms as well. I know Jacka must have read my LinkedIn, so you know that I am a psychotherapist as well as counselor as well. So I'm doing life and death education and grief counseling, and I'm the founder of a non-profit making organization called Heart to Heart Life Education, which I would like you to look into later on. Okay, so for today, my job is to tell more my humble experience from implementing the OKR from the HR perspectives. So actually, OKR is quite new to me, but I think people might more familiar with the key performance indicator. So I know that some of you might have attended the previous session in January about the framework of OKR. So I might like to let you know again about KPI, which is quite traditional and many company and HR are practicing. So may I have Foster's help to go to the video clip, which is a short one, some 2 minutes. Thank you, Foster.
Okay. Here you go.
Thank you.
Do you know what is KPIs and how it will help your organization? A KPI is a quantifiable measure that can be used to determine how well company goals are being met. Managers can set out a number of KPIs for a project that they can use to identify how well individual employees are performing. From reviewing employee performances to tracking company progress. There are a number of reasons why KPIs are an important factor in assisting your company's growth. KPIs are not company goals or targets themselves, but they're a measurement of goals and targets. When you're able to measure your goals, it gives you the opportunity to see where you're going wrong and subsequently make decisions that help you reach your goals faster. Being able to measure targets using KPIs can create an educated atmosphere within your company. According to Root Cause, the data that is generated by measuring KPIs leads to important conversations within the workplace. When you notice an unfavorable reading on a KPI, you have the chance to talk to the individual or team involved with it. Provide an immediate snapshot of the overall performance of your company. When you're in a highly competitive market, that information can be a crucial part of your attempts to beat your competition. The real-time data that KPIs provide allow you to make systematic adjustments so that you're not left making frantic changes at the end of each month to reach your goals. Without KPIs revealing vital statistics about performance, you run the risk of making inaccurate decisions about employees during reviews. You may assume that an employee is performing poorly because he or she has punctuality issues or a perceived lack of company engagement, but you have no quantifiable proof. A KPI may reveal that your assessment is incorrect and the perceived poor performer may have some favorable stats and delivers good results. Employee motivation and job satisfaction are extremely important in order to improve company performance and culture. It can often be difficult to motivate your team when set targets can only be achieved once a quarter or once a year. It can be quite rewarding and motivating for employees to receive positive reports for meeting certain KPIs. Although KPIs are important for reaching company goals, and inevitably growth, by allowing you to make systematic, timely adjustments, you must ensure that those goals have the potential for you to create.
Thank you, Foster. So let me go back to the deck. Yes, KPI is part of the OKR framework.
Today's whiteboard video is on key performance indicators, or KPIs for short. KPIs are those things that are associated with either goals or objectives, whatever you're calling them, those elements of your plan that are the expressions of
Foster,
what you want to
switch off that.
achieve. Those quantifiable outcome-based statements.
Foster have.
Oh, okay, that's fine. So sorry for the technical issues. Always, always there. Okay, so you watch again the KPI. I think I just wish you to refresh it. KPI is one of the parts in the OKR. OKR is the overall framework. So it sounds like you have to put KPIs into the OKR into your implementations. So it is more about the quantity things and quality of results achieved by a performer against previous agreed objectives and standards. So in OKR, they are the same. I got Christina's model, I think, in implementing the OKR or the KPI things. What I concern most is the how we engage people in the overall process that some other people not frequently mentioned in the OKR framework. This is the model I built. It is an easy one, not a model indeed, just a structure or framework that I see about OKR. So on the overall picture on the left-hand side, you can see that is from the complex level, or maybe you can say the objective results part. So it contains achieving organization growth, how to drive better business goals as well as business results. So it is important, and we have to know about this side. But in OKR, especially in Christina's model, we focus also in the right-hand side, how to motivate the performance culture, nurture the employee experience, how they think and feel, what are their sentiments during the process, and how to engage them. So what I would put OKR is, it is a journey from a corporate to individual growth. So when we implement that, so I think we should understand more about the frameworks, how to put those into the process and the actions. For example, what are the business goals or any other things we have to consider? Are they long-term or short-term one, visionary or operational goals that in the framework we have to know? And who are they? What are the roles of the participants? Are they the leaders or the driver? They do the monitoring or do the administration, as well as are they only the appraiser or appraisee kind of roles in the process? When we do the process, in the process, we have to focus much more on the launch and implementation, on the stakeholder side, communication and feedback, which is continuously, not only when you launch, you do the communication, but you won't do anymore during the journey, because we always mention that OKR is a journey and not only a specific time frame. So we have to do coaching and even some disciplinary action in it during the process. I think also we have to bear in mind that there are always proper connection between the objective and the results. We will look into the relationship within the process, like the staff sentiments and any other relationship related outcomes that we have to focus on. And while we also see a lot of challenge during the OKR implementing process, like are we experiencing any internal competition and resistance? How the people feel, whether the leaders communicate well, what are the recipients think about. We have to be very sensitive about the competition among themselves, as well as any resistance happens. And are we experience uncertainty and non-participating? Right, I think many people, if they got resistant, they might not be so active to participate, or even they will refuse to be cooperate. We experience disagreement and low productivity. The process, OKR, the KPI, aims to promote productivity performance. This kind of things during the process, we have to speak and to listen so that we can understand more about this, any sidetracks. And the last one, any conflicts between. Okay, so maybe I can share with you some case studies. I was in one of the restaurant groups in Hong Kong over 2014 to 2019, over 5 years. The restaurant groups, we have more than 300 outlets in Hong Kong and Macau. We are the franchisee of the Yum brands, doing fried chickens and pizza. So you may guess which brand they are. So when my time, there were around 7,000 staff in Hong Kong and Macau. We got other regional outlets as well, Taiwan and other regions, but not under my coordination or my management, so they are excluded from this 7,000 staff. For the structure, the staff structure, we got a supporting units as well as frontline operation. Supporting units means those back office like human resources, finance, IT, marketing things. Frontline operation are the shops, the restaurant staff. We got some different hierarchy in the company. So on top, we got leadership team. They are director level, only 0.2% of the staff force, so only less than 10. And we got the first tier and second tier direct reports, so mainly the managerial grade staff. It is around 0.33% out of the 7,000 staff. And the rest of them are general staff, both full-time and part-time, but you may know that around 90% of these general staff are part-time. So that means our OKR or KPI settings limited to leadership team and the first tier and second tier direct reports only. So not a very big size. For an initial time, it's good, I think. We start from a small one to a bigger one later on. So when during these 5 years, we just concentrate on this around to 0.5% of the staff force. Okay. So like KPI, we must to know the company objectives. And of course, the next one is the leadership team objectives that we taken into concern. So we have both ways, top-down and bottom-up kind of OKR implementation. So just some information. Our company is under Jardine Matheson Group as well as the Yum brand. Yum is the franchisor and we are the franchisee, and our employer is Jardine Matheson Group. So for many of our management things, staff related concern, we sometimes put more focus on the Jardine kind of policy and procedures, how we have to follow the practices. So for this OKR, we are much more to the Jardine side. We have to, each year we have a very thorough discussion with our mother company, what are the plans for us, any business strategies or business acumen we have to follow. So it is quite a little bit top down and up down to our business units. We, the CEO, the CFO, as well as the CPO. So I play the role as the CPO, Chief People Officer. So we name ourselves the trio, the three major stakeholders that we obtain advices and concern or visions or expectation from our corporate side, and then we work out the major company objectives together. Then we have to present and talk to our leadership team as well as the talent in the next scenario. So we do a lot of kind of a process, like we organize strategic planning workshop each year to tell the colleagues, especially the leadership team and their first and second tier staff, about what the strategies in the coming years. And then we conduct group-wise kind of presentation of these strategies in public, so that most of them can get what they are. And we, after that, we have to keep on discussions and actions to make it down to some details, work out the OKR major frameworks, the KPI, as well as the BSC according to their job levels. So back to the junior levels, we have BSC for the balanced scorecard. So all these measurements are in place. And we also hold a lot of very close communication with colleagues from time to time. Monitor hiccups and fixed concern are very important. Sometimes some managers or executives just ignore this, just put the OKR or the key indicator to the colleagues, but they won't continuously monitor the progress. So that is, I think, very important during the implementation. You can't forget that. And then we have to, from time to time, especially when the first time we launch the framework or the ideas after we got the major OKR, we have to work out the budgets and plans, and we need time to develop. Don't put that into haste. Sometimes a time frame for one OKR or a period of the OKR launch is around a year. So maybe we have to spend at least a quarter time to develop what they are. And sometimes you have to wait for the financial data for that. And again, we have to review that from time to time, motivate to see any other motivation and compensation that can result to make the progress as well as the result in very compliance and ready date. Okay, this is one of the template that we use, maybe quite similar to those other KPI things. I can share also a real one. I don't know whether you can see it clearly. This is a real one. We got financial and non-financial objectives, and we place different percentage of weights, whether your company would like more financial or non-financial, and then put into the KPI as well. So it should be measurable with benchmarking for comparisons. And we also got a cleared agreed control, whether percentage of growth as well as how you pay out. And I mentioned that the money and the KPI and the OKR are interrelated. And this is one of the motivation, I guess. Okay, so back to this. Okay, I already mentioned the financial versus non-financial elements, the objectives, the weight of the percentage of weight, agreed control. So again, I think it is not new to you. The agreed control as well, the objective and the result should be measured smartly. So be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant or realistic, and time-based. So we have to get prepared all those metrics like profit and loss, marketing metrics like revenue growth, customer satisfaction, RDI, ROI, RDI, customer retention rates, customer acquisition rate, all this. For HR, we would also like to know staff turnover rates, staff engagement index, etc. So to make it more measurable and scientific when we rate the performance. And last but not least, to build up an understanding with our colleagues, that is very important. Motivate employees, solve their problems before and after and during the process. Help them to promote, improve their performance when we observe that there are hiccups there, and to develop potential staff. I think it is more or less that. OKR is a process, I would say, to be good or bad. That could be mainly how you do the process right or wrong, or how good it is. So that's all for my part, my sharing. So if you'd like to contact me, there are some contact methods. So I stay here, and then I wait Max sharing right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. It was very informative, and we believe OKR implementation has been very effective in practice. And obviously, accurate profitability is being ensured by enacting this. Thank you very much again. Now, I would like to request Max to talk on the strategies of implementation of OKR in corporate HR perspective. Max, please.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, everyone, and good afternoon. Welcome to our strategy session today. My name is Mahindran, and I'm known as Max. That's what all my business contact used to address me. All right. So I have about 20 years of experience in various fields within the HR practitioners area. I was regional HR manager before, and during that period, we have implemented a lot of various type of performance management system, and OKR is something that is very close to my heart. So I've learned a lot from Christina's slide as well. So thank you, Christina. It was very well presented, and your slides are all very informative. Thank you for the sharing. So during my session, I'm very simplistic person. I like to make things simple, and I do not like to make myself very complicated. So what I would like to share is how I implemented back in my organization some times ago. And I have modified from what I have implemented. So I'd like to share with you a very simple implementation that which I have done. And I hope it can help you in terms of increasing your understanding as well as preparing yourself to probably take this back and review as well as implement at your respective organization. Okay, so before we move on, these are the normal common terminologies. I thought it's good for me to share it with you so that at least we are on the same page. When we talk about goals, goals are a direction where the organization want to go into, and it is usually long term. I think all of us, we agree with that. Objectives are more specific, and usually it is more short terms. Targets are level of performance that we want to achieve. We know, we agree with that. Plans, how to achieve the goals and objective. And BAU are those your daily tasks, your business as usual. All right. Okay, I will be using all those terminologies in my subsequent slides. Now, when we talk about business as usual, which is our day-to-day work, okay, if in the event on a daily basis, we just do what we are supposed to do based on our job description, okay, and the performance of the organization will be that much, okay. For example, as illustrated here, company A, their annual revenue is USD 10 million, okay. So for that USD 10 million, that is our daily activities. We go to work, there are a list of tasks that we need to complete by 6 p.m., for example, then we go home. Then then on the right hand side, we have a small red box, which is X. I will explain what is X afterward. Okay, let's talk about OKR. So if you are looking for change, grow, or improve what you currently have, this is where I will use OKR. Okay, So if assuming the company A, they are making revenue of 10 million US dollar a year. If you are satisfied with that, then OKR does not seem to be suitable for that organization. So I would rather say that, okay, you're happy with your current revenue, we just go on SBAU. Now, then no organization would like to stay put where they are, because everybody are moving forward. Okay, the whole world is moving forward. So to move forward, then what do we need to do? So which means if we achieve 10 million this year, next year or the subsequent years, we want to do more. All right. So assuming here the shareholders are demanding for more earnings, then what do we do? So the organization decided that, okay, we have to increase our revenue by 10%. All right. So in order to achieve this, what do we do? So what tool that the management should use in achieving their goals? So this is where I will deploy OKR. So 10% from the 10 million, it is 1 million, all right? And the goals for this organization is that to achieve 1 million additional revenue by 31st December 2021, okay? So I will deploy OKR to achieve this. We'll go more detail on that. Now, in any organization, when you are setting up a performance management approach, it will be top down, because you can't really start somewhere from the bottom or somewhere at the center. It has to come from the top. All right. So top management will have to set their particular objective career result. Then you cascade it down to department level, team lead level, and the individual level. And the arrow up is showing that when individual perform, team perform. When team perform, department will perform. And then at the end of the day, it translates to the organization performance in achieving the additional 1 million revenue per year. Now, in order for us to do that, so what do we need to do? Who need to change? So I've given you some of the example. This is a very typical example. Human resource department, they need to change. Marketing, sales. Obviously, if you need to achieve more revenue, then your sales activity will go up. Your human resources department will have to carry out certain activities which will lead to the same goals. Quality assurance, procurement, logistics, all right? So what will be their goal, all right? In many organizations, sometimes we see that every department set their own goals, all right? They may not have a similar goal, but my suggestion is this. I always drive this, that if the organization objective is to increase revenue by 1 million, then every department, their objective should be to increase the revenue by 1 million. Okay, if this happens, then we would say that, okay, the messaging is very clear. Everybody know what they need to do on a daily basis. Everybody will know that every day I come to office, my objective is to increase the revenue by 1 million. Okay, even a tea lady can say that. So objective. So OKR ensure that everybody moving towards the same direction to achieve the result, the same result. All right. So as you have seen in the earlier slide, every department, their objective will be to increase revenue by 1 million annually by 31st December 2021. Now, if you go in, zoom in to departmental level, then I'm giving you an illustration, which we have done in the past, is that, for example, a HR department. So the objective, obviously, to increase revenue by 1 million by 31st December 2021. The key result, KR, for to achieve that will be, number one, increase workforce by 70 per people by end of Q1, for example. All right. In order to achieve that additional 1 million US dollar sales revenue, so based on their strategic planning, that they need to increase headcount, and therefore it has to come there as one of the key results. And this has to be very specific. So we have to bear in mind that OKR talks about the achievement and not measuring your journey to achieve the goal. It is the goal that being broken down to monthly, weekly, quarterly, and it is where you have to achieve. So which means in Q1, the key result for this particular department is to achieve 70 additional workforce. Once you achieve that, you're done. Then you look for Q2. Now, then KR number 2 is implementing of 3-shift work cycle. So in order to achieve higher revenue, the production department need to work more, need to produce more, so that the sales department are able to sell more. When you sell more, there's more money coming in, there's more revenue. All right. So when the HR department are able to implement fully the 3-shift cycle from the January 2021, then you have achieved your key result. Then you go for the next key result, number 3, increase employee engagement by 10% by Q2. All right. So we are talking about achieving your objective on a quarterly, on a short-term basis, in order for you to achieve your yearly objective. All right. So let's look further. Then when you set up that objective, you must track. And this tracking is the one that you need to track on a weekly basis or monthly basis or quarterly basis. Now, what are you tracking? You are actually tracking the achievement. So assuming for a sales department, if they say that in a month, they must achieve, for example, 250,000 US dollar sales, then in a week, probably we are talking about 60,000 US dollar. So you must track back and check on a weekly basis, are you achieving that? If you are achieving that, then you're on track to achieve that $1 million sales revenue for the year. Okay. So Thomas Edison said, vision without execution is hallucination. Okay. So it's very important. You have vision, you have goal, but execution has to be very thoroughly and systematically being carried out. So when we look at, break it even deeper into our monthly key result, we look at weekly. For example, I just give you one example. In the month of January, week 1, HR department, they are supposed to determine, and then they are supposed to design the JR, the job requisition, that they are going to hire this additional 70 people. Week 1, that achievement is done. They have done the work for the week. Then week 2, they must have approved job advertisement. Week 3, they must advertise their job. And of course, when you zoom in individual level, it's going to be more detailed. So week 4, summary of job progress. In the month of February, their key result will be to complete shortlisting of candidate and issue offer letters. In February, week 1, their achievement supposed to be shortlisting of candidate, then week 2, they interview, week 3, finalize, week 4, they send out offer letter. Once this is done, then their hiring of additional 70 workforce in the Q1 will be on track. Right? Now, then some example of how you track your achievement from various departments. For example, HR for the Q1, they have achieved their 30%. Production department, they have achieved their key result. Logistics, they have achieved theirs. Procurement department, they have achieved. However, sales did not achieve. They only achieved 25% out of 30%. All right. This is where then you have other activities need to be done, but those are very detailed, where you need to track back, look back, do root cause analysis to find out why they did not achieve the 30% quarterly key result, why there is a shortfall of 5%. Now then you'll be able to track it to the company level for that particular quarter. As a result, the company did not achieve the 30% desired result for that particular quarter. Probably it is due to the sales department's contribution. So this is how typically an OKR, at a very simple illustration at the organization level. So common challenges that I've seen, that I've faced when implementing OKR is that the ability to convince the top management that OKR is the way forward to use as an approach to achieve the organization goal. How would you convince your organization? Because it is not proven yet. It is just a tool, okay? But we just have to give an overview and give some simulation of how that this particular approach can succeed, and what are the framework that you need to put in place, how you're going to implement it. This is how you're going to convince your top management in buying your proposal. So manage change. If you do not have a very up-to-date performance management approach, for example, then for you to propose something new, you need to go through a change agent. So you need to undertake a change. So undertake change, and you need to have a very detailed change process, right? Then underneath it, you have to have a clear roadmap, effective communication, accurate method of setting up OKR at a micro level. All right. At a micro level, we are talking about we know it's easy to set key objective for department in order to achieve organization goal. But when you trickle down to a more individual level, okay, when they set up the objective, are their objectives actually contributing upward? Just like the earlier slide that you have seen, the arrow moving up. So that is their contribution upward. Is it going to affect overall organization output? All right. Then effective tools. So when we talk about tracking, measuring, tracking, monitoring, assessing the result, then it is vital to have a very effective tools, computerized tool, AI, to be used in assisting us to ensure that the whole process end-to-end OKR is being implemented, and we are able to achieve the result at the end of the period. So that is a very small presentation based on my experience. I hope you have benefited it. I will see you again during the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Max. It was very interesting and enlightening. I hope the discussions have eminently reciprocated the given topic, well cleared and comprehensive. Thanks again. Now it's time for a general discussion and relevant questions and answers. The queries we got so far if I would request my audiences, if you have any queries, please come ahead with your questions verbally, or putting across the questions in the chat box would also be good. Okay. Yeah, we got a question from in the evolving world. Is setting up objective annually too long a time frame? Kaylee, it was the question regarding to Max or Christina. Would you like to answer? Have the answers from Max or Christina? Actually, I would have Max, please.
Thank you, Kaylee. It was a very good question. When setting up an objective, all right, the objective usually is based on the organization goal. A goal, as I mentioned just now, is very much on the long-term period. An organization would not design or set a short-term goal because then it is very difficult for them to keep on changing their objective, rather than focusing on achieving their objective. For example, usually organization will have a 5 years goal, and then 3 years goal, 1 year goal. And based on that, every department then set their objective. Yes, when you talk about evolving world, just like a lot of uncertainty in the world right now, including the pandemic. All right. So we always need to make sure that this is where the responsibility of leader of the organization, they always look at the horizon to see whether is there any other challenges that is coming. When you draw up your strategic movement, you always based on is that you always pastel analysis to analyze the external risks and challenges. So there are many analyses that usually they will do. They will not simply just set a target or a goal. Okay, there are a lot of background works are involved here. For example, external analysis, internal analysis, competition, and other challenges that may come. Okay, and when we set the objective, a long-term objective, it doesn't mean that it will be there. Okay, for example, in my earlier illustration, we said we want to generate additional $1 million revenue, but that was done probably in 2020, 2020. But let's say in 2021, the whole world is under lockdown. So it is almost impossible for you to achieve that $1 million additional revenue. So what do? This is where we will then sit, the C-suite or the top management will sit down and relook at their goals. Where do we need to tweak? Okay, do we need to adjust, relook at our target, relook at our goals? Okay, this is where that we always do. Yeah, I hope I answer your question, Kaylee.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much.
Hi, Kate.
Well, thank you. Thank you. A few more questions. Yeah, Mohammed Aminul was saying that I'm very new in the world of HR, so could you please tell something about the employee engagement program? Sure, but not now. We'll tell about that employee engagement program later in the part if we have the options. Rita, right? Rita has asked one question: under what circumstances should we use OKR, KPI, balance scorecard, BSC, or a combination of those? Rita, could you just specify who do you prefer to answer to your question, please?
Anyone, Christina or Max is fine.
Anyone, yes, please.
Okay, may I have the privilege to answer first, Max? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
I think it is a hybrid, a combination of those. But if you would like to be specific, I think the OKR might be something in the circumstances when we are initially talk to our top management. I think OKR would be much more appropriate. And for KPI and BSC, KPI, I think likely we usually use for some direct reports of the top management, like directors or managerial grades, that we can have some key key indicator for them, or in particular kind of function like marketing or finance and accounting teams, that KPI is a good tools to them. For our company, before my past experience, most BSC balance scorecard we impose to the general staff or some kind of junior staff. Yeah. So how about Rex?
Yeah, I think organization has been since I think way back to 1960s. The evolution in terms of looking for a better performance management approach, concept, has been very challenging, and everyone always look for a better performance management tools. All right. So just like today we are talking about an agile workplace. Okay. So 10 years, 20 years ago, we have not heard about agile workplace. But today when Google has that agile workplace, work design, okay, everyone look forward and try to find out, because all this while, when we say you go to office, you got to wear formal, you have a dress code, but and your tables are fixed, you cannot move that, you cannot move this table. But today you see Google, you see Facebook, even their bosses come with t-shirt and jeans. All right. So they even bring their pets to workplace, and their table, they can move up. If you tired of sitting down, you move up, then you can stand and do your work. All right. So if you don't like to be in one place, you bring your laptop, you can go to another place, you can lie down and do your work. All these, where we are coming from is that we want to get the maximum out of our employees. We want an employee to feel comfortable, feel like home. When they feel comfortable, when they feel happy, when they feel motivated, all right. So the survey said they can contribute more, which is true. I fully agree with that. So similarly, when we are talking about a KPI, many years ago, everyone talk about KPI, even government department talk about KPI. Today, people talking about OKR. So I would say OKR can be used in all the circumstances because it is measuring your result, okay? Because result is more important. I don't care if you come to work for 2 hours or 4 hours and half of the day you're in the office. At the end of the day, when I should be able to measure your achievable, your result, how much you have achieved, because how much you achieve will have upward contribution towards the organization. I hope I answered the question, Rita.
Yeah, you did. Thanks, Max and Christina.
We can't hear you, Jacob. I think you're on mute.
You need to unmute, Jacob.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I moved down to Mr. Saif Khan's question. Is OKR viable for every organization, or organization needs to move certain level? Yeah. This was
That question is silly, I think, but anyone can answer it.
Max or Christina, please. Please.
Yeah, you want me to go first? Go
I
ahead.
think anyone can answer it.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay. Well, I think I will answer very straight that OKR, yes, it is viable for every organization, whether it is large or small. And what is interesting here is that it allows you a lot of flexibility for you to design based on your organization, your business activities. So I would say yes.
Okay.
I say yes too. Yeah, yes, should be. But of course, for the kind of organization that are more open-minded and leaders are more experienced, then I think it's much more better when doing the OKR situation.
Okay, I got it. So people leadership is very important to implement OKR perfectly. I got it, I think. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Saif Khan. Okay, I'll move down to my question. Actually, my question was for Christina. How do you measure the impact of OKR process after it is implemented?
Okay, I think apart from what Max mentioned, Max would focus on the results, result-oriented to see the effectiveness of OKR. I would also put process into consideration. So result is clear. Maybe we can just see if we got the smart kind of measurable objectives and the outcome, then it is we can see the differences after OKR's launch. But I would emphasize on more in the process, how it goes through, how the journey is. So I would also interview the leaders as well as the employees to see their feelings, their opinions, and their feedbacks on the OKR launch. It is not really some data-driven kind of answer to measure OKR effectiveness, but how they believe it is efficient, or whether this process can help them to achieve what they want to. So I would put also process and staff opinions into consideration when I see the measurement and the impact of the OKR implementation. Can I answer your questions?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you have
Thank
answered totally.
Okay.
My next question would be for Max, actually. I would like to know, or would you like to please share any direct employer experiences that have transitioned from a well-known performance management system to OKR methodology? I mean, you want to share any kind of experiences that you face, any challenges in terms of convincing the employer, or in terms of getting the employee under the umbrella, or getting them well trained in implementing that OKR methodology in any perspective organization that you have come through. Thank you, Max.
Yeah, if I heard it correctly, you're asking whether do we need to get our employee trained in order for us to implement OKR? Is that correct?
Yeah, my question was to did you face any, what sort of challenges you faced that you had in your professional life experiences that come into during in terms of implementing the OKR in any respective organization that you had worked to, and
Yeah.
what was the challenge, and how did you manage to convince the employer and the employee himself?
Yeah. Okay. So what happened was that we were using a very very old manual performance evaluation system at that point in time. So when I joined the organization, I looked at it that there is a need for us to review that because what we do doesn't did not really reflecting what the organization aspire to. So we are moving into a different organization, a different direction. So during the meeting, so I did my presentation to say that, look here, you know, although we are making money and employees are rewarded, but I think that we are not speaking the same language. And therefore, we need to really look at a proper evaluation, proper performance management approach. That gave rise to Then in that occasion, an approval was given to explore further. Then we stumble upon this approach, and what we did was that then we did some groundwork, called some consultant and all that, and finally we managed to put up the paper. And after several meetings with the leader of the organization, they have given the approval. But yes, the challenge is that to convince them, they must see. Well, you know how leaders make their decision, right? So they don't really jump into a conclusion and they don't buy in straight away. They would want to see how convincing this, and then they want to look at some examples and what other organizations have done, some case studies and all this. So those are important things. And if we are able to, today's are much easier, because today you have a lot of IT tools where you can put it in and come up with some simulation and show them that, okay, 1 year down the line, 2 years down the line, with this particular performance management system, where you can see your organization and your level of performance of your employees. But back then, we don't really have that sophisticated IT platform for us to do that. So convincing, yes, it is challenging.
Yeah, I have a question here. Actually, I think it's for both Christina and Max. I have my corporate job working for a business owner who is from China. So basically, our majority of our operations are from China. And then one day when we had a session on OKR, my colleagues in China said that companies in China have started to use OKR, but they have never heard of any success stories. I don't know how true this statement is. That has made me to ponder, what are these factors that we need to consider in order to make sure that it's a success? Okay, can you share with us? Because Christina mentioned about the process, right? Hearing the comments of the employees and so forth. So what sort of factors or what sort of areas that we need to consider in order to make sure that it's a success, especially it's getting popular. A lot of US companies have started using it, and Google seems to have a lot of success cases, right? But when it comes to China, it seems that it's a challenge. So can you share with me some of the success tips so that we as an HR practitioner, we have to make sure that it's a success implementation?
Thank you, Richard, for the questions. I did not have much experience in implementing the OKR in China, so I'm not so sure. That might be some cultural differences, and maybe we need more training in doing the OKR in specific locations. I think, in my opinion, might be communication is very important. I think when we are doing the very initial part in the beginning, when making out the key objectives, we do have communication with the top management and the stakeholders in the same time. And when we launch the OKR from time to time over the period, like maybe half yearly or 1 year, we have to keep close communication, mutual communication with our colleagues in achieving what they committed, or what the management cascade down to the work. So I think continuous monitoring and feedback is very important in launching, in implementing the OKR process.
Thanks, Christina. Any input from Max on this besides continuous monitoring?
Sorry, Rita, I actually missed that question because there was a urgent message came up. It's okay, I pass it on. Or you want to repeat the question? I can answer.
Success tips in its implementation.
Okay, yeah, but yeah, I think part of it I've covered just now, and the most important thing is that we must know where we are currently, all right, and the organization, if the organization does not even have proper performance management system or tools in place, then would the management agree or susceptible for a change? That it will be a big change. It will be like a paradigm shift for them. So it depends. But if management who already have a proper management, performance management tools, performance management system, framework in place, and for them to upgrade it will be much easier. So it's all largely depend on the organization and the leadership of the organization.
Thank you. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Max. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Rita. I would love to go for the final question from Mr. Farid Bashir. The question was how we can make OKRs and Agile work together. I assume this question was headed for Mr. Max. Max.
Yeah, I think one of the point that I've actually highlighted just now was increase of engagement activities. When we are talking about performance, the illustration that I've given, OKR can be used for many area of improvement. For example, in an organization where they are mainly on the services. Okay, they would like to see how they can improve their services so that they can improve their market share and also customer clientele. So, and for a car servicing company, for example, how they can improve their services. For car manufacturer, how they can improve or reduce the defect or customer complaint. So you can use it in many organization, many types of organization. And one of it where I have said that employee engagement is very important because you are talking about improvement. Where we are moving from here, the current state, as I said just now, BAU, year in, year out, we are producing, we are achieving 10 million revenue. No change, no going forward, no going backward. But we all always aspire to grow, organization aspire to move. So that means we are moving to a better state, to a more, to improve ourselves, to improve the organization. And therefore, employee engagement is very important because who runs the organization is the employees themselves. If employees are motivated, highly engaged, then they are able to produce a far much more better result. They can be more productive. That is the whole idea. Similarly, agile work together, yes, same thing. So it is actually part of OKR. You can build in the OKR and make sure that you are able to use this as one of the features in order to achieve the organization goal. Hope that answer your question.
I think Mr. Farid has compiled the answer and he got it very satisfactory. I think. If you can say yes or you can unmute your mic here.
Well, because when we talk about agile, because there's always controversy between OKR and agile, because as you know, agile is all about working product, which not necessarily align with outcomes, because OKR we focusing on outcome and agile more on winning products. So if you are familiar with Scrum or Kanban in terms of product development, this is where the struggle that I think we are facing, because for the agile team, usually when they have their sprints, when they have their iterations, they lose focus about the outcome. So this is where I'm struggling to see the alignment between OKR and agile, because I can imagine people that are familiar with agile, they have difficulty with OKR, but which is fine. I think I know where you're coming from. So if others have any input, I'm more than welcome to to hear that. Yeah?
I think maybe OKR can more technology or digitalized kind of things to put on OKR implementation. Sometimes we may spend too much on taking out metrics and all those things so to support our objective setting. I wonder if to support the agility, shall we add on some digital high technology platform that facilitate the two process that can be speak up and be much more efficient? I don't know whether this is
no, there's a difference between agility and agile, because you have agile with capital uppercase and agile with the lowercase, two different things. And
okay.
I'm referring to A with the capital, which is
Uh-huh.
like the Scrum agile. Because, you know, for those that have implemented Scrum agile or Kanban agile, it's all about MVP, minimum viable products. And the challenge is when you have minimum viable products, MVP, you can lose focus of the real outcome. Yes, you deliver because you are, that's what the customer want. Based on the sprint, it's based on the iteration. But then at the end of the day, it does not align with the overall outcome. So this is, I think, where OKR can help, because OKR will in a way guide the agile squads to not only deliver their minimum viable product, but at the same time have sight on the outcome. Because what I like about OKR, like what you have shared, is all about outcome. Because I give an example, the classic example of OKR, I give example like Titanic, the movie. Yeah, when people ask me, Farid, what is the difference between OKR and KPI? So this is the example that I will always share with them. Imagine that you have a movie that exceeded the budget by 100% and late by 1 year. Do you assume that is a successful project? All I will say, this is a failed project. But bear in mind, Titanic, even though it's delayed, even though it's over budget, it is the I think the box office, it managed to cash in like $2 billion, something like that. So this is where I like the concept of OKR, because you focus on outcome. And when you are in agile, you have the tendency to be blinded with your daily routine work. So that's why I still struggling how I want to convince the agile squads with regards to OKR.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Farid and Max, Christina. It was wonderful to go for the last question till now. In our chat box, it's from Sokche Ly. If I'm just making it correctly pronunciation, Sokche Ly. What is the important KPIs, Christina? What is the important KPI for HR at the moment?
I'm thinking about how to manage the new normal. Is the new normal after COVID-19 things that might be a new challenge to HR people. So I'm thinking not those turnover rate, not those acquisition efficiency or engagement index, but maybe the crisis management and how about we respond to the new normal situation nowadays. That could be one of the important KPI for the agile HR in 2021 or beyond.
Max, you'd like to say anything on that query? What is the most important?
Yeah, I think I agree with Christina. It is important that in some organization where the risk is very uncertain. I think there have been a lot of business continuity plan in place, all right, to manage or to handle any uncertainty. Probably this is one area that, apart from our objective or OKR, we must always be prepared that in the event that there is any uncertainty, so what is our contribution during that period of time? Okay, are we ready enough that in the event there is another pandemic or any other natural disaster, for example, or any uncertainty hit the organization, how do we contribute to the organization while managing that particular issue at that point in time? So are we agile enough for us to face the uncertainty, or we will be a dead wood at that point in time? So I think keeping it flexible is also very important, and be ready all the time and stay relevant. I think that's important. Hope that answered the question.
Maybe, Jekka, I want to share
Thank you.
about this agile thing, right? The agile work. What's the relationship between the agile work and OKR?
Yeah.
As far as I understand, OKR is more suitable when it comes to uncertain times, meaning that changes are underway. We don't know what will happen, maybe 2 or 3 months after. So under this kind of situation, it's good that we adopt OKR so that our key results can be adjusted according to the needs of the company, according to the developments of the economy and so forth. And I was told that API will not change so frequently, but for OKR, especially for the key results, we can always review it on a regular basis to see if we need to adjust it. Because of that, that's why company would like to adopt OKR in order to cope with this agile world. And this would be my sharing. I'm not sure you're totally correct, but this is what I heard about this OKR. Why would companies started using OKR? Because of this because of this flexibility in adjusting its key results in order to cope with this uncertain world.
Yeah, Amin was saying, good question, Mr. Farid, around Agile and OKR. I have implemented projects on Agile and always found that in MVP, the interim sprint outcomes can never be far away from the final product. All the user stories for individual sprints are in line with the final outcome. I think Farid was really amusing to find out the actual scenario from Agile to OKR. Yeah, I think we have, okay, I think we have several questions already being answered from our speakers, and also let's close okay, right. Thank you very much for all of you. I always find Max the relevant, humorous, and full of wisdom. It is just great. And Christina, thank you very much for sharing your knowledge so far. Well, we had a very wonderful session of OKR and its implementation in corporate HR perspective.
Yeah, shall we go take a group picture?
Yeah. I'm coming down to it.
Everybody to show
yeah,
them.
please. Can you please turn on all your videos? I would request to everyone to turn on your videos so that we can take a picture. A group
Okay,
picture.
let me do it.
Okay.
Everyone ready?
Yeah.
Even you have a great profile picture, you may turn on your video. All right. Okay, I will count 1, 2, 3, and then I will take the photo 2 times. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. I think we have, yeah.
1, 2, 3. Smile. Okay.
That was great. Thank you, Foster. We had a very wonderful session of OKR and its implementation in corporate HR perspective. We look forward to see the successful implementation of OKR in respective organizations onwards gradually. For all of your more convenience, we'll compile the questions and disperse soon in our WhatsApp or chat group. I want to thank you all for your sincere presence and hope you all have enjoyed the session. I would like to request Rita to have her closing remarks kindly. Thank you, Rita.
Closing remarks, right? Wow, I didn't expect that. I hope everybody would have some takeaway from the session today, and especially I will have to give a big thank you to Christina and Max by sharing us with their experience on OKR. And as I mentioned earlier, OKR is getting popular, and I also heard a lot of stories about this. Not really successful. That's why I had a question about the success tips, especially I mentioned about the situation in China. I don't know how true the statement was, but I always believe that when we comes to implementing a system or a system, I think as Christina mentioned, you have to get the management's commitment and consultation along the way and so forth. But anyway, so I don't, so hope everybody enjoyed the session today, and we'll see you next month. So, okay, have a great weekend then. Thank you, bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.